Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Purpose Driven Live Sports Game, and I'm back here for another NBA video. So last night we had three NBA matchups in the playoffs. We had first the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Brooklyn Nets, excuse me. Then you had the Denver Nuggets versus the San Antonio Spurs, who are at home in this game, and then you had the Warriors versus Clippers, which was the most anticipated matchup. So first on the Brooklyn Nets and Philadelphia 76ers. So I was not expecting this, but Joel Embiid actually did not play this game. He actually sat out because of the sore knee because he has tendonitis in his left knee, I believe, which means it's hard to land, jump, and turn and do all those things in your knee. So he said it's really about pain tolerance, and he just didn't feel it in this game. So I understand that. Ben Simmons really came out and established himself in this game. He had 31 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds. Then you had JJ Redick, who also had, I believe, 26 points. You had Tobias Harris, who had over 26 points as well. Jimmy Butler wasn't really big in this game. But what happened also, their defense was great. They rebounded well anyway. And then they had Boban Marjanovic, who had over 10 rebounds. Yeah, Greg Monroe, who had over 10 rebounds. Those two came off the bench and played great in Joel Embiid's absence. I believe Greg Monroe started, and then unfortunately, uh, Boban Marjanovic fouled out. But it didn't really matter because at that point, the game was already in the hands of Philadelphia. They had already established that they're going to be more physical. Ben Simmons got wherever he wanted on the court. He went exactly to his spots. He was getting layups. He was getting dunks. He was getting right to the block. He was driving. He was driving the lane, getting guys open. His passing was on point. What Jared Dudley said was that he's an average player in the half court and a great player in transition. I believe that actually motivated him to actually show Jared Dudley that, yeah, that may be true, but there are some things that I can do. As in, if I get to my spot, there's not a lot you can do and stop me once I get there. And he really showed that him being aggressive and getting to his spots, he's a really tough guy to guard. So I was actually really impressed with his performance and how he just came out and established himself that he's a very talented young man, and he's here to play. He's here to stay, and he's that's just who he is. Now, I don't know if Joe Embiid's going to play in the next game either. I think this is just a game where he's taking rest. I think that's good for him to be able to tolerate that pain, as in you got to take a night off every now and then. So this is actually a good rest day for him. They won the game, so this shows that this team with this talent can actually maybe pull out a game without Joel Embiid if he needs rest. So that was a good game. The San Antonio Spurs and Denver Nuggets game was a different game. So Denver actually came out and tied the score in the first quarter. They were actually down by at least 7 in the first quarter. They had the lead in the half by at least, they were up by 8 at one point, and then San Antonio went on a run and then established themselves in the game by rebounding, by slowing down the pace. Because San Antonio is not a fast team, they're a team that likes to slow down the pace, get up good shots. They're very fundamentally sound, so they're not a team that wants to run up and down. Denver, on the other hand, because they did grab the lead at one point, but they couldn't really establish that pace that they wanted to, which is getting up and down, shooting threes. Their bench, while it was great, they also couldn't really establish a pace that they could have kept. I'm going to say that I'm disappointed in Jamal Murray because he only took 7 shots. He was 2 for 7. No, he was actually 2 for 6. He was 2 for 5 from three. He only had 6 points. In order for Denver to actually make a deep playoff run and to get to the conference finals, what's going to have to happen is that Nikola Jokic is going to need a guy who's going to be another scoring option. He can't just do it by himself because scoring 20 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, he's doing what he usually does, which is he's stuffing the stat sheet. And he's doing his job, but he's going to need another guy to step up. Gary Harris, to me, is a guy who hasn't really gotten off in this series. Will Barton, who is a guy that starts, he hasn't really scored much either. The only guy who he's really had is his front court mate in Paul Millsap, but that's not going to help. They really need one of their perimeter players to actually be either a second or third scoring option for Nikola Jokic and Paul Millsap. And when they're a team that's missing shots or can't get the pace of the game going in their favor, they're a team that tends to struggle. And what I'm seeing from San Antonio is that they're forcing them to slow down, and since San Antonio is making shots, they can't just grab the ball and go. They have to grab the ball at the basket. and San Antonio was able to set their defense, which is why Denver scored a lot because they're getting teams out in transition, which is why they're scoring. So that's how Denver lost that game last night, 118, 108. And by the way, Philadelphia won 131, 115. I wanted to let you guys know that. So the Warriors and Clippers game, that game was exciting only for the fact that Kevin Durant really showed that he is Kevin Durant. He can get to any spot that he wants to, and when he wants to score, he can get whatever shot he wants. He had 38 points. He had 27 in the first half. He had 11 in the third quarter. He didn't even play the fourth quarter. They went up by 31 when the Clippers actually took a timeout in the third quarter, and they actually proceeded to add on to that. They only won by 27, but that's just because the second the guys came in and lowered the score, but they were up by almost 40. So they made sure that they kept their foot on the gas and they made sure that they weren't going to be complacent. And I think this is going to continue going forward. Steph Curry had a lot of fouls in the first half and in the third quarter that were just a little questionable. One where he actually stole the ball, but they said he grabbed Danilo Gallinari in the third quarter. That was his fourth foul. I was very surprised. A lot of fouls on Steph Curry were very surprising. And Steph Curry has become, to me, a good defender where he's not a guy who really gets beat off the dribble as much as he used to, and he actually makes good defensive plays. He rebounds well, and it seemed like his aggressiveness on defense was taken away to some extent to where he couldn't make plays on the ball as much. So that part was a little weird, but he still had 21 points and it was 4 or 5 from 3 point range. So Steph Curry is, to me, this year more than 2 years prior. Has he This offseason he worked on his shooting, and his shooting has really helped Golden State. So I think going forward, Kevin Durant being able to score and facilitate like he is still, Steph Curry, his shooting prowess is on display. He's not missing a lot of 3 pointers like he was in the years past. He's shooting well. That bodes well for the team. Draymond Green has now impacting the game differently where he's not afraid to score. He's driving the lane. He's still passing the ball, but he's getting more involved in the scoring, the distributing part of the game. And that to me is actually very impressive. And that he's more aggressive in these type of games right now. So I'm actually really excited what I'm seeing from Draymond, and he's just stuffing the stat sheet. Andrew Bogut to me also last night was a key in their defense and a key in their development into what they're going to do without DeMarcus Cousins because his defense was excellent. He had 14 rebounds, 8 points. I believe he also had 5 assists, so he was also doing other things besides the defense, even though defense is really his calling card. He's a guy who stands in the lane. He can test shots at the rim. That's what he did. They did a great job on Lou Williams. He only had 16 points. I believe 7 of them were from the free throw line. They limited his free throws. Montrezl Harrell was pretty much non-existent. So what you saw is they made defensive adjustments and they competed the whole night, which is what I thought they were going to do. And turning on that thing that Golden State has is when they're competing and going out there having fun and just playing their game, they're unbeatable. So that's what I really saw last night. But thank you guys for listening. This is actually really fun to do breaking down basketball. So thank you guys for watching my videos, and I'll be back to you guys again for another video.